Hey guys, and welcome back to Frequently Asked Scottish Golf Questions. We're going to start this show, like we start every show, with a dram of Scottish whiskey. Glenfiddich has special meaning for me because it was one of the first whiskeys that I had when I got to Scotland, so I always try and keep a bottle around. But today's topic is about caddies and taking caddies on Scottish golf courses and whether it's different than in the US, and we're going to go over some of those differences and what to expect and how much to pay and where you ought to take caddies, where caddies aren't necessary, and also, how to save a little money if you don't want to be dropping, $100, $120 every round. So let's jump right in. We'll start right off with fees. Depending on whether it's a big name course or a smaller local course, the fees differ. For instance, at Kingsbarns, where I caddied for about a season and a half, the base rate is £50, and if you had a really good round or just a solid round, you would expect to tip the guy, or be tipped in my case, £20, so like a £70 round. If it was awesome, tip more than that. If it wasn't great, a £60 round, let you know that, okay, I kind of need to step my game up. If you go to other courses, like a smaller local course where you might just have a member caddying for you, it could be less. In all cases, talk to the caddy master or talk to the pro shop and say, hey, what's your caddy rate? Try and tip about the same, £20 for a great round, but those base fees might differ. This kind of gets into the next topic, but say you're at a place like Cruden Bay that has locals caddying, you might not expect to pay £50 for the base round, but at a place like Kingsbarns or the Old Course or Carnoustie or any of the big name open roto courses, those are professional caddies who do it for a living. So expect those guys to be getting kind of a £50 base rate. To get a little bit deeper into what I was saying about Cruden Bay and then the big name courses, if you're at a smaller course like Nairn or a Brora or like an Ely, you'd want to let those guys know ahead of time that you'd want a caddy. They don't necessarily have guys sitting there in a caddy barn just waiting to go out. They would need to call a local and line that up ahead of time. So keep that in mind. You can't necessarily just randomly show up one day to like Western Gales and say, hey, and by the way, I want a caddy. They might have it for you, but they also might not. So go ahead, call ahead of time, or when you're making your booking, let them know, hey, I'm going to want a caddy, or hey, we're a group of 6, and we'll each want our own caddies. So just keep that in mind. One good way to save money if you're part of a group, say 2, 3, or 4, or even larger, and you don't necessarily all want to take your own caddies because that really adds up. It could kind of double your greens fees. Take 4 caddies. So that would be a caddy that goes out with a foursome or a threesome or a twosome, and they will basically walk ahead. They won't carry any bags, but they'll give you the lines off the tees. And that is the most crucial part of having a caddy in Scotland. Anyone who's been there or has read a lot about it knows that there are blind shots everywhere. You can look at a tee and have no idea if you're going right, going left, going forward, going back, especially at a place like Cruden Bay. What makes the courses so great is the quirkiness and the fact that they're unlike anything else. So you want a caddy there to make sure you enjoy that, and that doesn't become a point that you don't like about the courses. 4 caddies typically get around like £100 for the whole group, and everybody can tip in another £10, £20. A 4 caddy might leave with 120, 140 pounds or so, more than that if you really like him. But 4 caddies are a great way, split that cost among the group, and suddenly instead of paying a guy 70, you're paying a guy 30. It makes your pounds go further, but gives you all the benefits. You just might not have him reading every single one of your putts, but if you're over there concerned about making every putt, then you've kind of missed the point of going to Scotland. That kind of covers the basics of when you need a caddy and why you ought to have one. They're providing great knowledge to you, and they just add to the experience. But there are a few courses, and I'm just going to list off 3, but there are a few courses that I think you really need one. Otherwise, what I just mentioned about the quirkiness of the course suddenly becomes not very fun. The Old Course is a place where caddies are really, really necessary. There aren't tons and tons of blind shots on the Old Course, but anyone who's been there will tell you that standing in the fairway and looking at some of those double greens, you really have no idea where to go. Some people on their first visit don't even know which flag to hit to on some of the double greens. So the Old Course, necessary to have a caddy. They add to the experience. They all know what they're talking about, so keep that in mind. Old Course caddies are always good. Another place would be Prestwick. Prestwick is really quirky and has tons of blind shots. Some are so blind that you just kind of hit at a hill, and there are multiple stones on top of the hill, and you're aiming at the right stone or the center stone. Having a caddy there who can give you tips and let you know exactly where you're going adds tremendously. I didn't have a caddy the first time I was there, but we were playing with 2 members, and they got us around. If we hadn't had those members, I have no clue what we would have done. It would have been much less enjoyable. So Prestwick is another. And then the third I mentioned already, Cruden Bay. Again, blind shots. I had done a ton of reading about the course, so I knew about some of the quirkier holes. I knew that 14 and 15 were going to be, what they were and where I needed to hit it. But some of the holes out there, especially on the front, I had just no clue where I was going, and it detracted my first round. Fortunately, I was able to go back and replay it, and I love the course. But that's another where let them know ahead of time, get a local caddy out there, but it's worth having a caddy at Cruden Bay too. That wraps it up with the caddies. Just to recap, make sure you know the base rate. Tip 20 pounds if it's a really good experience, tip 10 if it was pretty mediocre, and heck, if you're flush with cash and you just had an awesome day, go up from there. But caddies are vital, and they can add greatly to the experience. If you're strapped for cash and you don't want to take a caddy, take the 4 caddy for the group, split that cost among the group, ask what the rate for 4 caddies is, and go from there. But I highly suggest taking caddies. I caddied for a season and a half at Kingsbarns, and I loved it. I took the bus up every day from St. Andrews, met tons of people, got the word out about my website a lot that way, and loved every second of it. I look back on that summer and then the next season as being some of the best in Scotland. So thank you guys for watching. I'm going to provide some links in the description below to past videos. How to get a tee time on the Old Course was the video before this, and the next video is going to be about what time of year to visit Scotland. Check that out. Check in the description. I'll provide some links. Talk to you guys later. Bye.